Praise the Lord. This is an unusual testimony, and I give this testimony in the presence of Jehovah God, in the presence of my brethren. God be glorified. Let his name be glorified. This is a testimony that looks like a Nollywood story. It's a testimony that looks like something from a fiction book. You know, one of those fictitious stories that if it didn't happen to me, I probably think somebody was saying, like the Nigerians was saying lamba, like it was a lie. I was sitting in the house last week, you know, minding my business, and I got a knock on the door. There's this book that I asked my son, one of my twin boys, to order for me the previous day with Prime Amazon. So I thought it was the Amazon man that was knocking. So I opened the door, and there was this young white boy, aged between 18 to 20, standing in front of my door. And I said, hello. You know, he had these cargo pants on, and then he was putting his hands into the pocket. So in a way, I moved back a little bit because I didn't know what he was about to do. He was telling me this story about how he went out the night before. I know this was a Friday, which was a Thursday night, and that he was drinking a glass of wine, white wine, and it got spiked by a friend of his with drugs. And he ended up in a bush very close to my house, and he got up. You know, while he was still saying this, my twin boy, Joshua, was upstairs working. So I started shouting for him, and the reason why I was calling him was because I thought this boy wanted some money to get home, and I didn't have any cash on me, so I was preparing in advance that, okay, if I should call Joshua, so that by the time he finished narrating all his stories, I'll say, Joshua, have you got a 10er or 5er that we can give him to get home? But Joshua was saying, I'm coming, Mom. Apparently Joshua had just finished having his shower, so he was dressing up. So this boy continued, and while he was talking, I was just staring at him. It didn't make sense, but I was thinking, okay, yeah, what happened? That he passed out, and an ambulance came, police, and all that ambulance and the police thing, I couldn't figure out what it was. I said, you know, and I stumbled by your garage. And when he said I stumbled by your garage, and then he said, I took this, and I looked. Oh, my handbags in a big bag. My handbags, my things. And by that time, Joshua had just leapt downstairs from the staircase, and he was staring. I said, excuse me, can you repeat it to my son? Because I couldn't get over it. I started saying, you know, my drink was spiked, and told my son the same story, and said, I don't know why I did it, but I went to your garage and I started taking your things. I'm like, you went to my garage, and I could see my things. A lot of bags, about 20 clutches, you know. And you know what happened? This summer, you know, women, we are our clothes and shoes and everything. I said to my husband that my wardrobe was too full inside the house. You know, women, we take more spaces than our husbands. So, and because my husband has this carpentry skill, you know, that he learned over years, so I asked him to build me a closet in my garage, and our garage is a double garage. So he built me this big closet, so I was able to transfer my shoes, my bags, my clothes, and everything, and I was feeling so good about it. You know what? And this guy told my son that it's not finished, that he had no peace. The white young boy telling us he had no peace, but he had to return it. And I was like, what? You thought that was over? You thought that was bad? You thought it was bad? And then he left. He said he was coming back. He left. I came back with chainsaw, my husband's tools. Chainsaw, you know those streamers that we use in the garden? Once you finish lawn mowing, you stream the sides of the streamers and more stuff. And he brought them this time around where he was. I just sat down in the living room and I was staring. And my son was just coming, Mom, are you okay? I said, am I supposed to be okay? I don't understand this. It was just like an out-of-body experience. It was as if, am I dreaming? Am I sleeping? Somebody telling me a story? He said that he had no peace. I said, do you live locally? He said, not too far from us. And that he went to Fenchurch Street that morning, because there's a train from Chafford 100 straight to Fenchurch Street. and that he had no peace. He had to take the train back again to come and drop my things. I couldn't believe that. And if my son wasn't there that he was saying it, I'm sure when the rest of my family came and I was telling, they wouldn't believe it. And he said he was coming back again. He brought all those things, all right? The third time, now I was shaking. I went to the kitchen to get some drink. My son said, Mom, I need a cup of coffee. He drinks coffee normally, but he said he needed another one. And Joshua came out and said, Mom, I can't believe, are you sure? I said, but you heard it. And the thing is that my garage, many years ago when I moved into that place, 21 years ago now, after a couple of years, the garage key got stuck. So we don't lock our garage, and we've never had problems. We've never had problems. But he said he saw the handle of the garage turn to the right. So he knew that it wasn't locked. And so he had to open it. This guy went the third time around. The TV my husband put in he brought the TV bigger than that, about 35 inch. I don't know how those measurements, bigger than this, obviously. This guy brought, and this time around, he didn't come for my son. He actually opened the garage, put it there. I have so many grandchildren in Nigeria that I buy stuff from. Some sliders I got for my grandchildren in Nigeria. This guy took them. Desola saw some things, that's my daughter there. She saw some things in Primark that she wants to resell, put in the cupboard. This guy took them. And you know what? My son just came back and said he's gone now, and he said it's finished. About 30 minutes later, my husband came in, and I said to my husband, he said, my husband calls me Iyawo. Iyawo, what's wrong? I said, a lot. Well, he sat down. He said, and I showed, he said, where are you parking to? I said, that's a good question. I said, just follow me. I didn't tell him the story. And for the first time, I went into the garage. And by the time I got to the garage and I saw everything on the floor, I couldn't believe it. Things this guy, an 18, 19, 20-year-old maximum, white young guy, saying that he couldn't find peace until he returned it. And the night before, Pastor, the night before, I was still saying to God, I do that all the time. My family knows me. I'm always checking myself up with God. Am I still in line with you, Father? 2 hours, I knelt beside my bed, worshiping and talking to God that, Father, am I really in tune with you? On the last day, will you say, Tope, come on, I know you. I know you. I don't want to be saying, I know God, and he says, he doesn't know me. I'm always, trying to get that reassurance. And the following day was what I saw. Praise the Lord.